So for those of you who may not know me, I see a lot of familiar faces, but my name is Cheryl Matthew, and I have been a geriatric care manager for about over 20 years now. So I assisted, usually it was adult children calling me to help with the challenges that their parents were having as they aged. So I've been around the bend with many, many families and seen a lot of things that work, a lot of things that haven't worked with not only my clients, but my own family and extended family. And we also have people here that work with older adults as well. So we have lots of wisdom in the house. And I also, because we're with Heartfelt and MSI, I worked for Now Productions for 12 years and I've been volunteering for Now Productions for many, many years before that and after that. So I'm steeped in the teachings and feel like Jer's kind of sent me out to learn about aging so that we can come back and share the good news. Share the good news with us all. So it's just my honor to be here with you. And so today is going to be, the topic for today is going to be a first in a 3-part series. And the topic is difficult conversations. Mm-hmm. And at first, last week, I thought it was going to be one hour and we talk about this. And as I dove into it, I realized there's so much to the topic. Yeah. That there's just no way to handle it in one. So how it naturally divided itself up is to before a conversation, during a conversation, and after a conversation. So today will be our what to do and how to prepare ourselves before we have a difficult conversation. And then next week, we'll talk about bits and pieces of how the conversation can go well while we're having it. And then the third part will be specifics about the outcomes. And for that will be a feeling type thing. So that won't be an outcome that necessarily we will shoot for, but more of what paperwork you want to have in place, lists, checklist, things like that. So takeaways like that. So today we're going to talk about preparing ourselves for the conversation. And I realize we'll generalize it with, we're going to talk with our aging parent, but some of us don't have aging parents. Part of the difficult conversation is having that conversation about aging with ourselves. How are we feeling about it? How is it affecting us? And how are we looking towards the future? Some of us will have spouses that, you're aging together. And then what happens if one of you passes and the other one doesn't, or who, all of those things. You may be an adult talking to your children about your own aging or their aging. So the conversations can go a lot of different ways. The common theme here is that we're going to be talking about how you are inside of you with the topic of aging. So I'm going to go over some general themes and specifics about different conversation topics that we think about when we're aging. And then I'd like to open it up for a conversation with you and sort of a way for you to practice how you talk to yourself or share with another loved one, like our group here, about how you're feeling, your fears, your challenges, your excitement, all of that with your aging process or your loved one. Because when we can talk about it with others, then we can clear our consciousness and bring things up to clear so that when we go to have the conversation, which might be difficult then we can be more clear about our motivation. We can be in balance and ready and prepared to have the conversation with someone else. So the topics, the general topics I see in aging are our health. So how's our health doing? How are we feeling about choices we're making? And Karen, I think you have the slide for that you could put up. Thank you so much. So how are we feeling about our own health? Are we doing the things that, okay, so let's do the other slide. How are we feeling about what we're doing to keep ourselves healthy? Our finances? Have we planned for the future? Do we know what we need to retire, or to maybe we're already retired, and do we have enough to pay for what we need? What do things cost? All of that around finances. Our living arrangements. Who do we want to live with or near? Where do we want to live? Do we want to live by ourselves? Do we want to live in a community? Our legal documents. What are those? Some people think I need to get some documents, but I'm not sure what to do. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, but that is a big topic that we think about when we're aging. Our contacts and important documents list. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and actually that piece, some people ask for where that is, and it's now up on the heartfelt.org website. If you click on resources, there's one of the resources there under Dr. Cheryl and Conversations on Aging is the document list. That's a Word document that you can fill out as far as your contacts, and you know what all that's about. Another topic that we think about when we're aging is our people. Who is our support system? And, well, I used to think that those people, my people, would be the same over my whole lifetime. But I'm seeing that there's seasons for people in my life. And so then as we're getting older, who are those people that we want to be close to? Who can we count on? Who do we want to help us if we need help? Such as if we need someone to be our power of attorney, help make healthcare decisions, who are those people? So those are the big topics that I see in aging. Those are the hottest topics. And so not only that we're thinking about how that's going to affect us, but when we go talk to our parents, our spouse, our kids, those are the main topics. So today for our conversation, I'd love to hear from you how you are feeling about your own aging. Maybe if you have a difficult conversation to have with someone else, whoever that person is, what are you thinking about it or feeling about it that you want to just put out there, kind of get honest with your feelings or your fears or your excitement, and let's make this a safe place to kind of clear our consciousness, to be present before we go have a difficult conversation with someone else. I see Sodhi's hand up. You want to share? You want to unmute yourself? Sodhi from Australia.
Hi. My only concern, in fact, is a big concern, is that I don't have a support system. I don't feel there is anybody I can rely on. That's what worries me. And yeah.
So you're worried about you don't have a support system, like as you're getting older, like who's gonna be with you in this part of your journey.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a great point too. Part of the reason we're having these workshops and, you know, conversations on aging with MSIA and heart is so that as a community of people who are studying the teachings, uh, that we have people that we can reach out to. So we have this community, and then people that will watch the recording, and we're working on getting heartfelt representatives all over the world, so that we do feel like we have a support system that can walk on this journey with us. So yeah, so that is a real concern, and I'm thinking of the other people that have talked to me about that, especially because, as I said, things change as we go along. Okay,
Mhm.
thanks for sharing that. Yvonne, unmute yourself, honey.
Hi, audio. Thank you. This is Yvonne Moschel. Well, I'm 86, and I just want to put this in the light. One of the processes at part of the conference, we were picking qualities that we wanted to have during the year. Well, health just picked me. It was like, you're doing health. So I am working on it. I'm experiencing it, but I do have physical. I don't have a normal physical body. I have something in my body that isn't working really right at all. So I have structural and internal, and my question is, if there's any suggestions of how to work with the process of what a healthy body looks like. In other words, my body doesn't look healthy, but inside of me, I'm healthy and have this sign, better next year. And it's like, I have a real positive outlook, but my body doesn't reflect that. And I don't know if you've had other people speak to you on that subject, but I just want to put it in the light that I have ways to acknowledge the healing that is present when that physical manifestation doesn't match it. In other words, my spine's not straight, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense?
I think so, Yvonne. What I'm hearing you say is that inside you're healthy, but outside it doesn't look like maybe what you think a normal person's healthy body looks like.
Yes.
So maybe your spine looks different.
Yes.
Yeah. When you were talking, it reminded me of a friend of mine who, he was a young man, and he was probably about 55, and he had cancer, and he was on some experimental drugs, and his health went up and down. And one day, and it ended up to be like a week or so before he passed away. Outside, he looked fine. He could go out and chat, but I know when he was home, he was struggling, didn't have as much energy as he used to. And I texted him about something, and he said, I can't do that today. I'm having a bad health day. And so for him, he separated. His body was struggling, but inside he was fine. He had this positive attitude, and was embracing the day and grateful for the day, but he was just having a bad health day. So for whatever that's worth, I heard that. I I think I don't know, if I had a choice, I think I'd rather be healthy inside than look like something that I thought might be appropriate on the outside. Um, so I'm wondering what, um, so if you're having so if we think about the difficult conversation, so if you're having this conversation with yourself,
Yeah.
what would the conversation with yourself look like about this topic?
It would be acceptance accept what's present and move what you can. And also, I think, the light's here. And so it's like, what it's telling me also is you've agreed to do these things based on your life and how you lived it. You've agreed to do these things that are present now. And these are, well, in all honesty, these are things could have been different had you handled things at an earlier time. And so it's a real gift. I think someone's knocking on my door. And thank you. I get accepting and appreciation for the opportunity, regardless of when it arrives. That's a big one for me. Is be grateful for the opportunity. So that maybe be my key. Thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, that's just a great example, Yvonne. Just when we listen, just take a moment to listen to ourselves, and to so often we're just kind of on the hamster wheel of life, and our thoughts and things just don't come to the present. So thanks for being a great demonstration.
Thank you.
Listening, putting the light.
Love to everyone and all of us in this journey. Like to all of us. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for being a beautiful pioneer out there, Yvonne.
Yeah, love it.
Brookie.
Hey everybody. So my name is Brooke. I think my biggest concern is not so much about aging, because I'm strong and healthy, and I've been getting stronger and healthier every day. It's more since Brad passed that every so often I realize if I just slipped and fell and hit my head and knocked myself out, Brad would not be here to attend to me. And it's not that I don't have core people, because you and Karen are my core people, my brother and my sister-in-law. And I get spirit inside directs me in a perfect way. But what if I'm unconscious? Who do I call? And Karen gave me a offer to help by just texting back and forth every morning. And I've sat with that with like, well, I trust spirit enough to know that if something were to happen to me, that the perfect person would be here to take care of me, or not, and it would just be my time. But every so often it plays in my consciousness, and when I have an ungrounded day, I'm really conscientious of walking and, just really being aware of my surroundings, so I'm extra careful. So that's kind of a concern. It's the idea of living alone, and I don't even know how long I'll be living alone either, so. But it's been 10 months, so it does kind of run through my head like, should I get one of those alert things that's like, I've fallen and I can't get up kind of thing. But I'm not really I don't see myself that I need that, but then again I think, well, I'm living alone, so there it is. So yeah. So
Thanks, Brooke. That's a great example of, you had a fear of things are changing, like what if I fall, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
And then you're coming up with some options as far as how to solve that fear. And I've noticed that myself, where until a couple years ago, till an incident happened, I never thought about, oh, what if I'm out here and something happens and I don't get up, I've fallen, I'm in an accident, something happens and I'm alone. And I fell from a ladder onto our dock from like 8 feet up, and like landed in the water after I hit the dock. And after that was the first time I'm like, oh, I need to, it just put a little bit of I need to be aware of that. So it was definitely a shift as I was aging. And yes, and one thing that I've heard other people do too is they start texting in the morning a loved one. It's like, hey, how's it going? And they know, well, at least you're up now. So if you're going to live alone, you wouldn't be alone on the floor for like over 24 hours till you text the next morning.
Right.
Cool. Thanks, Brookie. Lori.
Hi. I just wanted to just kind of address something that Sophie mentioned, because we're still evolving with HeartReach. Cheryl and I are both, and Karen are both working with HeartReach. And there are HeartReach representatives and coordinators in Australia. So Sophie, I would just, I don't know which part of Australia you live in, but you can just, I don't know, you can just ask, you can ask me, Lori Matson at msia.org, and I can just tell you the coordinator, HeartReach coordinator in your area. And you can just let them know, I just have a concern that I'm aging. I just want to be able to reach out to people, because some of what HeartReach does is just keep in touch with people who are aging and who may need a buddy, like Cheryl was saying. So anyway, I just wanted to say something about that. And
Yeah, I'm in Sydney, and many of us in Sydney are in the aging population.
well, you
Yeah.
can help each other.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know the coordinator. I'd have to look it up, but I can email it to you if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay. And it's just terms of my aging is sometimes I get fearful, like what do I do with my aging body? Do I put it in a retirement home now, or do I wait? What do I do with it? So I moved, I moved next door to my granddaughter, and it's not because I'm aging, just because I wanted to be closer to them, because I've been close to them, both physically and, in relationship wise for quite a while. So I enjoy living next to them. So I guess I'm fortunate that I do have them. But I am healthy. I don't feel old, but I just know as you age, sometimes things come on suddenly. But I'm just grateful so far. I'm just taking one step at a time. But I'm grateful for this, because I do have friends that are aging and that are not as in good health as I am, and it's just how to work with them can be challenging.
Laura, have
So-
you had the conversations with your granddaughter
Yeah.
as far as anything related to aging, or is that topic come up yet for a difficult conversation?
No,
Okay.
it hasn't, but I know they're there for me, and then my son isn't that far away. So, I feel comfortable about it right now, and, just light ahead to whatever's in store for me.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks, Lori.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. This is wonderful.
Birdie.
Some of my concerns overlap what's already been shared here. I'm going to be 77 in a couple of weeks, and I have been incredibly healthy my whole life. And last couple of months, on and off, I've had some back issues, which has really scared me, because I live alone. And if I were to fall or something similar to what someone else shared, it's like, I don't walk around with my cell phone. I don't use my cell phone. I have a landline, which I love. But I have absolutely no fear of dying. I'm really excited to see where I go. And I have a sense of where I'm going, but don't know the details. But it's that pre-period. I supported my mom for 2 years with cancer. I've supported several friends, and I don't have family. I have a brother, but he is so medical that I won't even I don't want to go there. If I'm done, I'm done. Don't try to give me more time. I don't want that. But when I think about it, there's a lot of terror that comes up around what if. And I've really been working my process to come back to my own center and know that JR's got me, Traveler's got me. And you know, it's just, I mean, one of my fantasies is I'm donating my body to UCLA. And my fantasy is, because I do take pretty good care of myself, is that they'll bring me into the students and cut me open and say, oh my God, she's 90 years old. And look, she's got the organs of a 30-year-old. So I kind of hold on to that young image. But man, it's like, I don't know where I'm heading in terms of all of the stuff that comes up in here. And I know I have the tools to work it, and I'm working it, and it's challenging. So that's where I'm at. And the other thing I just want to put in the light, for 40 years, I've been wanting to do my living trust and all those things. I see you, Peggy. Peggy supported me a little bit in that, but it's still not done. And I don't know what that's all about yet, but that's really needs to be done soon, because I really want our organizations to get whatever I have left. And if not, my brother will get it, and he doesn't need it, let alone do I want to give it to him. So just in the light, just show me the way to do that and to stay healthy. Thank you, Cheryl, so much for doing this. You've also been on my list to call for years of maybe get a little support, because I've also thought about moving to a, not assisted living. I don't need that, but, some place where there's support if I need it, but I'm still living on my own. And what I would love is to be in a MSIA community with that. That's one of my fantasies of, and I've been in a couple of different groups where we've talked about that, but it just hasn't come forward. And I'm not drawn to Prano, although I know that's an option for something sort of like that. So like to that as well, if anybody else is interested, I would love to live with people like you. Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks, Bertie. I do have a question for you, Bertie. This is a comment I will say for people in MSIA that have wanted to live with other people. So light to that. But my question is, so I heard you use the word terror, which is I think especially for you is big, right? Yeah. I've got a call from a lawyer one time. He said, Cheryl, I want you to help me create this system, because I know that my wife is not going to be able to take care of me. She's not a caregiver. Something happened to me first. And I'm just terrified of dying alone in the gutter. Mm-hmm. And it's been one of my motivating, things that I've heard in my life, of that terror of living. Well, I think, like you said, when we're healthy, we're fine. And then when we're dead, we're fine. But it's that middle part that scares people. And that it makes a lot of sense. That it's really important to have things planned out and a support, at least one person to support you. And so, Bertie, people, two people on this call, Peggy and myself, at least.
I know a lot of people on this call.
There's other people, right? So we talk about difficult conversations. For you, that difficult conversation may be talking to people that you want to be your people, your support system. You're like, hey, things are changing. I know it's time. I've thought about it. It's time to get my ducks in a row. And then, to be honest with yourself as far as why haven't I reached out yet? Or
Well,
what's, go ahead.
Actually have. There are two people who I know I think will be my executors. But one lives in Las Vegas, one is in Orange County and has her own body issues. So in terms of, I've talked to people, but it's the actual work that I need to do that just keep putting off of,
Right.
yeah. So
do you have any ideas? And this is the pre-work that we're talking about, because if we're going to have that conversation, sometimes it's the adult child saying, I need to go talk to my parents because they're aging and I'm nervous that something's going to happen to them and they won't be prepared. But the adult child doesn't really know what they need, because we're all, kind of figuring this aging thing out, right? We don't know, but we think we need something. So for them, it's a different conversation. But they may approach the parents saying, you need to do something different. You need to go to the senior center. You need to exercise. You need acupuncture. You need to change your diet. And we need to get these forms filled out. Like that's that's sometimes what the adult children feel inside. And then their parents are like, wait, I've never done any of that. I don't want that. So what, from your angle, you're the person here needing to get the documents in place, and then the peace of mind that I have my people. Because when you said I have two people, but one's in Las Vegas and one's in Orange County, and they didn't seem very available in the way you were saying. So that may be just being able to process that, like with a friend or here, of what is stopping me, what's blocking me from going ahead with that, like, and choosing two people that are available to me and getting those documents in place. Do you need a professional, do you just like, I just need a name of a lawyer, or
I even have a lawyer. I have a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. I've actually worked with what is that block, and I don't come, other things in my life, it's like, okay, this, and this is very clear. But that one, for some reason, is like, there's a wall. Then I can't get past it to get in to see what is that. I appreciate the question, because it's making me look at it again, because I kind of keep pushing it to the side. And then every now and then it's like, oh, okay, let me take a look at this. And it's like, okay, let's push it to the side again. It's like, so.
Yeah. And I just want to normalize it. And I really appreciate you hanging in there with, being on the spot like this, because even in people in this industry, in the aging industry, only about probably less than a third of the people have their documents in place. So it's a natural thing, or it's normal to put it off. And sometimes, you guys trust the timing, like, oh, it wasn't time, even though, like anybody with property or with investments, with a house, really needs, if they don't have the documents in place, like a trust in place, then it will go into probate and the state gets a chunk of that money, and it takes a lot of time and it's messy. Some people go, well, that's fine. But, people will work that out. They don't want to deal with it still. But sometimes the motivating factor is, okay, I really don't want to pay the state that much money and leave a mess for other people to clean up when I'm gone. So I'll just do it. So then usually kind of pushes you into that taking action step. So part of what I see here is talking about it together, normalizing it, and supporting each other, like kind of like holding each other's hands to go, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm doing the next step of what is right for you in your timing, and also laying out the important documents to get in place, because some people don't do it because they don't know what to do. So there's a myriad of reasons why, and sometimes it's just like, I just got to go do it. So it's normalizing the process and walking together and supporting each other in this step.
I kind of wish I had an adult child who would prod me because that would get me to do it, but I don't have that.
Yeah. Wait, Karen's pointing at herself here.
Okay,
And she raised her hand, so I'll let if Karen wants to talk.
Okay, so I raised my hand on my other thing, but I'm going to talk right here. Bertie, I'd be happy to prod you.
You're a good prodder too, I know. That would be great.
If that would help you, and we could talk about that later. So I have a front row seat to this topic. It lives in our house, and it's full and rich and full of all sorts of angles. But I'm also living it. Not only am I getting older, and I just recently retired, and so I'm feeling like, oh wow, I've turned a real corner, even though I still feel young and healthy and vibrant. I have a mother who's almost 80, and she's, well, let's just say she's got a lot of health issues, and we have our own mother-daughter issues. And sometimes when I go to help her with things, all of my stuff with her comes up. And I find myself being bossy or irritable or frustrated with her and wanting her to do it differently. And then, you know, because I have an amazing partner who helps me to like talk things through and look at it when my mom's not around, and I can go, oh, what about my mom do I also see in myself? What about this thing about my mom getting older is so challenging for me? And what do I really want? What I want is to be of service. I want to love her. I want to be compassionate. And so when Cheryl was talking to me about this conversation that she was going to have today, I was like, look, for me, it's been so valuable to have take a minute to think about, okay, well, when my mom needs me and I feel like she's manipulating me, then I go, into a completely different place than the one I want to come from, which is a loving, compassionate, understanding daughter that I want to be, that I would want to be for anybody, especially my mom. So if I can like dig around in all the other stuff that's going on for me before I go do that with my mom, then I can show up and be more loving with her, and then I'll feel better about all of that. She wants to live alone. She wants to stay in her house. And it's a lot for her. And so when she calls me because she's chosen something that's overwhelming for her, I really struggle with, I don't want to rescue her from that. That's her creation, but I want to support her. And it just feels like sometimes I'm not quite sure the right approach. So those are the things that go on for me. And then as I watch her age, and I think, wow, that could be me in 20 something years. And, I think Lori said, no, maybe it was, somebody, maybe it was Yvonne. She said, look, if I had done X, some years ago, then my reality today might be different. And so I'm really taking a look at, I don't want my 80s to look like my mom's 80s. She's uncomfortable in her body. She's really struggling. And I don't want that reality. So if I can avoid it by choices I make today, then I guess I'll be grateful that my mom is showing me what it could look like. And then I have the choices to make for myself. So I think that was very meandering, but that's what I think about in terms of difficult conversations with myself and with my mom.
Can I ask you one question, Karen?
Yes.
As Bertie said, I wish I had an adult child to prod me. Do you ever prod your mom? And how does she respond?
Do I ever prod her?
Yeah.
Yes. It depends on my approach with her. So if I come to her from my loving instead of from my bossy, disapproving daughter MO, she's usually more receptive. She was really receptive when she was very, very ill, like she was thinking she was going to die. And then she would do whatever I asked. And I felt completely, I just felt our connection was completely peaceful because she really needed me and there was no manipulation going on. And I felt 100% present to be there for her in her hour of need. Now she's sort of come back from the brink. So she still wants to do it her way. She still wants to do all, like, you know, she wasn't doing well and she decided to get a puppy. And I had talked to her about, you know, Mom, I think maybe, I know she wanted to have another dog because one of her dogs was getting very old. And I said, I totally get you need the companionship. What if we go see if we can find a dog that's like 2 or 3 that's past the puppy stage? And then the next thing I knew, she got a brand new baby puppy, and the puppy is adorable, but my mom is really struggling to manage that. And then I feel like I get, I get the brunt of what isn't working for her because of her choice. And then it's sort of like, well, I need you to help me. I need you to come over. I need you to take care of this. And then I feel resentful. So she listens better when she's feeling more vulnerable. And she doesn't respond well to my prodding when she's feeling better and I can do it myself. And you know, did I answer your question?
Yes, thanks, Karen. And I was just offering that just because you think that you want someone to prod you, that might not, it's not necessarily like, oh, if I had an adult child, you might not want the prodding. And most of the time, what I see in it, you know, that to tie into this difficult conversation is that when we go talk to someone who's aging, or and that's to ourselves too, but people will do it their way until they just cannot do it anymore. And usually they don't want our prodding before that.
Yeah.
And
can I say one more thing?
Yes.
There was a moment last week when we were at my mom's house and she was talking about how it's becoming more difficult for her to get up out of certain chairs that are a little lower. And Cheryl just looked at her like with the most loving and tenderness. And she said, you know, when you lose your ability to sit, to stand, you lose your independence. And I could see the recognition on my mom's face, like, oh, dang, that's real. And she wants to be independent. She wants to live alone. And so sometimes it's just dropping a nugget, you know, so maybe I'll just be a nugget dropper for you, Birdie. Because ultimately we all have to choose for ourselves. So,
yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
Peggy's raising her hand.
Oh, good. Hi, Peggy.
Hey, Cheryl. First of all, this has sort of been an emotional topic for me, which I didn't expect. First of all, I so relate to everything that all of you have shared. And I have had that conversation with family members, you know, sometimes in an emergency situation. But I want to just talk about myself today. And I'm going to be 73. And for all of you that I shared the same fear of falling, and what do I do and what would happen? Well, that has happened. And because of that, or actually before that, you know, as I realized I was aging, I thought, well, what am I going to do? Do I get one of the things you wear? Because I have no family left. All my family members have passed away. So I decided to get an Apple Watch because I heard that it has a fall factor, that if you fall, it registers that and it prompts you, are you okay? And if you don't answer, it automatically like calls 911. Well, I've actually had to use that twice. And one was most recently, I was outside and I went to go up, 2 steps. And for whatever reason, I went down. I didn't realize it until I was down. I thought, oh, well, I'll just turn myself around. And I did, and realized that I had cut my leg very seriously wide open. And I knew that I couldn't get up and walk because of how much I was bleeding. So I called 911 on my Apple Watch. And I'll tell you, I thank God that I have that. It's like, for me, that's my safety. What do I do if, this happens? In terms of my support system, and I guess this goes into the whole emotional thing too. In the beginning, I was like, oh my God, my family's gone. What am I going to do? I felt quite alone. And so I do have 2 of my friends who, one is my power of attorney and trustee, and the other one is my medical power of attorney. So we have those conversations. And we have had those conversations for a while now in different situations. And so I appreciate having that. And I've put all my documents together. In fact, this is my 3rd clean out of my house. I'm actually doing it now because, having been a trustee, it's like, I don't want to leave things for people to have to clean up and do, when I'm gone. So that's in place. For me, though, personally and inwardly, because to me, as I'm aging, there's an inner process and then an outer process. And what I have showing up are regrets. I regret doing this. I regret not doing that. I personally, and I guess this is where I have my emotional charge, is, when I look back at my life, the one thing I regret and has really caused me issue now as I'm aging is being very overweight. I know many of you, so you've known me, I've been, morbidly obese for quite a few years. And now that I'm aging, obviously it makes it harder to get around. And so for me, it's like coming to terms with that. And, where do I find the loving compassion? So that's what I'm dealing with inwardly. And it's an ongoing process. And I thank God that, I'm connected with the traveler and working with that inside of me, because it's not been easy. That's for sure. So I guess to sum it up for me, on my personal side, I'm doing really well with having all the outer things together. And it's like I'm more working with myself inside now. So that's that. And I just wanted to comment on my experience in having those conversations with my family members. And the one theme, because there were times where I'd have to have that conversation on the spur of the moment, and I remember thinking, I don't know how to do this, what do I do? What do I say? And it always came back to the same thing. And it was like, Peggy, all you need to do is just have loving present. If you approach them and the conversation with loving, all will go well. Trust that. And indeed, that was indeed what got me through those conversations. And I'm very grateful for that experience, because I know if I face those conversations with anyone in the future, it's like loving is really the cornerstone, and the how and what to say will come natural. So thank you all. I love you all. Here's to all of us aging. It's like, how did I get here? So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Yes, that loving, compassionate conversation with ourselves. Jeannie.
Hi, I'm Jeannie. Well, I see our time is getting close. One thing
let me just say, we usually go for an hour, and if there's, I'm fine hanging out, but if anybody needs to leave at an hour, you're welcome to, and I'm fine just completing with what's present, so I can stay longer if you like.
Well, thank you. You're such a love. Well, I think I have all my documents lined up. Once I moved out here near my brother, I live in a senior apartments, not assisted living. But I didn't want to be a burden to anybody. And I wanted, if I went first, I wanted it to be as easy for everyone as possible. So so I've been really good about all that kind of stuff. And it was a challenge getting it done. And my sister-in-law is my person. So as long as she's here longer than me, because I've got her on everything. My brother, I can't even mention that I might die. He just can't deal with it. And he's still dealing with our two brothers that passed last year, and he started drinking again and everything. So, that's where that is. But what I wanted to put in the light for me, I hold this image. It's my hope, my wish that I'm healthy till the day that I die. And I'm hoping that I can go like my friend Ward, she just fell down and left. And that's my wish for me. And I hold the vision in my mind of JR and John, just being beside me, and we go, okay, let's go, like in the night travel. But I don't know for sure if that's going to happen. So I haven't thought about, like, if something happens and I need help, like to be, or I can't live in my own place anymore. I've just kind of blocked that out, like, well, that isn't going to be. But I just like to place that in the light, because Spirit knows. I'm feeling emotional about this. Spirit knows what's going to be and what my karma is. I feel grateful that I have Jupiter in the house of death, but I don't know. And, I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I don't really want to be in a nursing home or anything. So anyway, just place that in the light, that I come to peace with whatever my karma is. I do my best to take good care of myself. I'm certainly not perfect, but I wanted to put that in the light, and I just wanted to talk about this. And I just didn't realize how much. I didn't even ever think about this until we started talking today, and I was listening, and I'm 73 years old and, you know, doing pretty good, but I finally had to get on some medication, which, you know, I didn't want to. I always wanted to do everything homeopath, and I thought I was going to die. I took something, I had an allergic reaction, ended up in the emergency room. My blood pressure was like 200 over 120. And I guess I'll just say, you know, I thought I couldn't even think to pray. I mean, that's just, and then I heard JR say, "You're not going to die today, Jeannie. We need you here." And, you know, I don't know why I'm sharing that, but that just came up. And so I just, for me, I do go to the Death Cafe every month. I've done the Joyful Transition numerous times. All these things have really helped me a lot. Because I used to have a lot of fear about the passing, but since I got that image that the traveler gave me, you know, I don't think about that anymore. Now I just want to be healthy till the day I die, you know. And I don't even like die till the day I transcend. So that's all I have. And just thanks so much for doing this. I just, I think it's really valuable and very important for so many of us in MSIA today, the boomers.
Mhm.
God bless you.
Thanks, Jeannie. Thanks. Teresa.
Thank you, Cheryl. A number of years ago, I heard John Morton at A Living in Grace suggest that we make an ideal scene for our, I think he said death. My husband and I made an ideal scene for our last week, and Guy did pass. We didn't get everything on his, but the thing we got was he was able to die at home with me holding his hand. And this was during COVID restrictions. With the help of my kid sister and hospice, he died at home and I was holding his hand. So I'm a big fan of ideal scenes. And I'm also a big fan of eye watches. There is a way to accidentally call 911, by the way, which I have done. And in my case, 911 asked, and I told them it was I was trying to fix my iPhone, and the guy said, "We get that a lot." And then about a half hour later, a cop knocked on the door, and I said, "You know, iPhone, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "We get that a lot." But nevertheless, I'm a big fan of iWatches if you can afford it. They're a bit costly, but I think they're very valuable. Thank you, Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful. Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, in the Joyful Transitions class that PTS offers now and then, Carol Jones was a significant part of creating. They talk about creating an ideal scene for your passing. So sounds like some people are getting it. Munyan, you want to share real quickly before we wrap up here?
Yeah, just really quickly. Bertie was my my buddy either at USM year 2 or USM year 3. And I'm just a hop, skip, and a jump away from her because I live in West LA near the Sawtelle area. And I would love to be again and support her in what she's going through, avoiding this whole thing. And I so resonated with what everybody said. And I just so appreciate everyone and you, Cheryl, for being, oh my God, thank you. That's my quickie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, Munyan. Were you raising your hand, Jeannie?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Something that was mentioned that HeartReach has a buddy program. You know, I live in Missouri, way out in the rural area. And I just wondered who I would contact to, get a buddy.
I'll email you, Janine, and let you know who's the coordinator in your area.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe somebody in St. Louis.
St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis. Well, not now, but I'm from St. Louis.
Yeah.
But yes, and if you have any questions, concerns, checking the buddy, whatever you have, you can email serve@heartfelt.org. serve@heartfelt.org. Greg, do you have a quick share?
SERVE.
SERVE. Serve.
Yes, it's just a short thing. At the first meeting that we had, you showed a whole list of things to look at in terms of getting ready for later in life, everything from paperwork and all that stuff.
Yes.
Did you find any place that I could access to get that list?
Yes. Well, I'll post it on, if you go to the heartfelt.org site in the top right, drop down menu will say resources. And then there's a list of different offerings that Heartfelt has. One of them is Aging Conversations with Dr. Cheryl. So if you click on that, they're not posted yet, but they're working on posting all the recordings of the events. And also below that, there's a list of resources. So if you click on there's a couple, there's one, a sample contact list. So you can write down your friends, doctors, things like that. That's an important contact. And also there's another extensive list. That's a 3-page list of different things to track as you're aging, like what's your social security, what's your Medicare, has a whole list, but there's lots of things to think about there. And I will post that list that I showed today, just of like the basic, health, finances, your people, your documents. So I'll link that there. So anything we talk about in these workshops or conversations, we'll post over there.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. So I really appreciate all of you and holding for each other, your honesty, your sharing today. It's been moving and exciting to me. I think this is where life is when we get real about different topics other than the weather, things that really move our hearts and that are important. So I would leave you with the encouragement to just take a small step in compassionate, loving conversation with yourself about your aging or your loved one's aging or whatever dynamic is in your life around this topic. And maybe just pause and ask yourself, how you're doing, how you're feeling. You have any fear? You have any judgment? And, do the forgiveness work that we know to do. I forgive myself for judging myself. Forgive myself for forgetting I'm not. I forgive myself for forgetting I'm divine. And bring that deep compassion, knowing that you did the best you could at the time. And when you get more information, you'll have more choices. And so I'm really excited to walk this path with all of you, together as we're finding out more about ourselves and our support system and who our people are going to be. And I see your people will show up when you put the intention out and start going, kind of who are my people. You'll start to find them. And at Heartfelt and MSIA, we really do care about everybody feeling connected and that they have support. So we're committed to being there for you and also creating it so that we can all be here with each other. And so next week we'll talk about, if it's going to be a topic if it's going to be a conversation with another being, how does that go? So how to have that the best quality of difficult conversation with a loved one. It could be someone younger than us. Could be like, hey, I need you to be my trustee. How does that go? I need you to be my person in case I can't speak for myself with my health care. How does that conversation go? So very good stuff. And I love you all. Have a wonderful week. God bless you. And we'll see you around the bend.
Cheryl, you're meeting every week. Is that the way?
Every Tuesday at noon.
Okay.
Every Tuesday at noon. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Cheryl,
Bye.
bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.